Welcome to the Canned Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. We're in Season 4, Episode 16, and we're continuing our Cantastic Journey, which is the theme for this season. And we're just Cantastic journeying a little bit south. Last week's episode was in Berkeley, California, and we're heading down to Santa Cruz. But before we do, we have to talk about the Wine Nerd Word of the Week. And it's more of an acronym than a word. It's several words together, which hopefully I can put together. And it is TDN. And TDN is it's not really an off taste, but it's a taste that wines, particularly Rieslings, get as they age and oxidize. And it's the oxidization of carotenoids. This would be right up there in Dr. Ron Jackson's bailiwick, because he's very much into the chemistry of it all. And it's a trimethyl dihydrogen naphthalene. And if you can imagine, that imparts a certain taste. Some people describe it as slightly fuel-like. And at low levels, and we're talking the micro levels, it gives a bit of a sweetness to the wine. And it can be enhanced or happens more frequently in screw top wines, and Riesling typically would have a screw top on it. So corks tend to take that out a little bit, but a lot of Riesling isn't aged all that much, although there are some that are very well. Now, that brings us to our can of the week, and we have our very special guest hailing from the Queen City of Regina, Saskatchewan. Are you there, Catherine?
I'm here, Brad.
Would you like to introduce our can of the week?
I would love to. So this week we're going to be opening and talking about another maker wine. You know from past episodes that I'm a big fan of maker. This one is a 2022 Sparkling Riesling made by the Sir Winery. And it's in a 250 ml can, which is about a third of a bottle, and it's 13% alcohol by volume.
Correct. And it's listed as vegan friendly, so they don't use any sort of animal-based finings. 0 grams of sugar, and it's made by a female winemaker. Her name is Nicole Walsh, and she's out of Santa Cruz, an avid surfer, and also enjoys making wine for her winery called Sir, S-E-R Wines, which specializes in sort of crafty, single vintage wines from a single maker. And that's right up the alley of maker wines, who specialize in these very crafty wines made by minorities or female winemakers, people that are sort of unrepresented or underrepresented in the winemaking field. Now, Nicole has a master's in enology from Michigan State, and she's been literally around the world making wines. And this particular wine comes from a single vineyard in California. Now, where did I get it from? Well, it came from a mixed pack. Maker Wines delivers the stuff literally to your door. You must have an adult there to sign for it, all of the good stuff. But you can order it online, and if you're part of their wine club, you can have this wine delivered to you on a quarterly basis or monthly, and they're always having all sorts of specials. Speaking of which, they recently had their 12 days of Christmas. It was like an advent calendar thing that they would send out, and I got a note from them. They're very active with texts and emails and stuff, and they had sent a text out that they'd found another 25 12 can assortments, and those are really good if you like to try different wines, and it comes to you delivered to your doorstep. Well, not so much to Regina. That would be a problem. I don't think it's imported into Canada, but perhaps they could work on that if they're listening to us. You guys need to get that up there, because there's a lot of fans, or there would be, of these sort of crafty wines. Now, how did Catherine get her wine? Well, I ordered it. It came to me in New York, and we talk frequently about wines, and we had discussed that she had had Maker's wines before and quite enjoyed them. Janelle Ducey's wines. Remember those ones, Catherine?
Oh yeah, I do. Those are good.
With the it was a Zinfandel, I think, with the Ducey blue can.
Mhm.
That was a good one. So we talked about that, and so when I was traveling up there this fall for a Canadian Thanksgiving, I said, "Well, let's try and meet up, and I'll bring you some cans from my assorted pack." So I had that, and you have to get it together so that I have one here, she has one there. That's the whole shtick here on the Canned Wine Podcast. We're opening cans across international borders in two different states and two different time zones. It's a lot of fun. So I packed up my wine and headed off, and you were actually passing through Manitoba, which is the province next to Saskatchewan, for those people that are not familiar with the geography. And we literally met on the Trans Canada Highway and exchanged pleasantries, and I gave you some wine and wished you all the best because you were heading off on a camping trip to, where was it, Clear Lake?
Yeah, up near Clear Lake, Riding Mountain.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I handed off a jar of my mom's tomato relish for you to take home.
Yes, and we've been enjoying that. It was fantastic, very very well received, and we had it during American Thanksgiving, just so that you know whatever happened to it, and kind of quite enjoyed it. We both did, so that was great, and it's a testament to Catherine's perseverance that she headed off to the wilderness with a whole bunch of canned wines and managed to bring them all back home and get them on the podcast, because it can be really challenging. Some of these things are nice, and you're like, I could just try one of them. But you probably have the only can of Maker Wines Riesling in the entire province.
I think there's a good chance of that. Yeah, I feel very privileged, very special.
And now that was Canadian Thanksgiving. Now we're at winter solstice. Happy solstice to you. We're on the cusp
Happy
of Christmas. Thank you, thank you. We're on the cusp of Christmas here. I've got my Spartan accommodation studio here decorated with my poinsettia. I have a string of lights in the background. We're really well into the Christmas spirit here. In fact, today I was cleaning the house, and we're painting the kitchen and getting ready for guests and all the things that you have to do at Christmas time. So if anybody's looking, you may see a few spatter marks on my hands and not on my shirt. This shirt actually has little tiny white roses on it. I am recovering from a cold that I got just after that the other California wine that we had out of Berkeley, the Brockway or Brock Cellars. That was a red blend. That was a decent wine. I really did enjoy that one. So that brings everybody up to speed. So are you ready to do what we do here on the Canned Wine Podcast, Catherine?
Oh yeah, I absolutely am. I had kind of a big supper of things that are not recommended to both as you made. I had very prairie dinner of baked beans and pierogies and beef, and this is Asian foods and oysters and things like that. But I've had time to digest, and I'm looking forward to having this kind of just a little treat on its own.
I've been thinking about this one all day because, I've I don't know about you, but as a much younger person, Rieslings were always more of a very sweet, almost in the line of as Canadians. I think they made a lot of ice wine from Riesling and stuff like that. A very sweet wine, and this is made with 0 grams of residual sugar. So it's supposed to be a very dry wine. I'm excited to try that, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And then I remembered about the TDN thing, and I'd experienced it a bit. I know you're a graduate of Brandon University, and I don't know if you were ever involved in the wine club there, but it was always interesting to taste some of these more aged wines that were, had a bit more complex flavor than the stuff that we would normally drink, and we were exposed to some of these, various aging chemicals that show up in the aged wines. Were you ever involved in the wine club there?
did go to an event that they put on
Hmm.
once. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that my partner Kana was involved in it, and we went. I think it was a couple of years where we went there, and it was a very good crew, and they were very serious. That was kind of mentored, I think, by Dr. Ron Jackson, who was always very helpful in getting us the greatest wines, and his interaction with the state wine authority didn't hurt us a little any at all. So, but I'm digressing, and I'm excited to try this. So, are you ready to open this wine?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll count down, and after a moments of silence, we'll open it. 4,
All right.
3, 2, 1. Now, this is a carbonated wine or sparkling. I'm not sure what the process is to make it, but it has a bit of pearlage to it. Mine just smells fresh. I'm smelling
Yeah,
like
very.
white fruits, that sort of stuff. I don't smell any fuelish type of smells, but let's taste it. Mm. I'm still recovering from a cold, but it's very crisp.
It's very crisp. I think it said pineapple on the website as a description, and I'm not really getting that particularly, but.
Oh, I'm definitely getting the pear.
Mm-hmm.
Pineapple. Speaking of which, we made Guyanese pineapple tarts, or pineapple, yeah, I guess it would be called tarts, this morning. Anushka had decided she wanted to make them, and we had some extra pineapple tart stuff laying around the house, which, as you know, we probably would have. So we spiced it up and made these pineapple tarts. They were kind of a fold over it. It would almost remind you of an empanada or something like that, but or a hand pie. You put the filling in, and oh, they were delicious. We added a little bit more. We added a little bit more cinnamon and a little bit more nutmeg to the filling, and they were quite delicious. So that was a big taste of pineapple. I don't taste pineapple in this. Maybe a bit.
Now, the question is, would this go well with those pineapple tarts?
Oh, it definitely would. Yeah, it is surprisingly dry. Very drinkable. Well done.
Yeah, I think I've sort of steered away from Riesling. Typically, I'm not a big ice wine fan. I do find that sweetness a bit overwhelming, but this is absolutely lives up to what they've said about it. It's not it's not an overly sweet. It's not that kind of desserty sort of wine. It's very fresh and sparkling and light.
And not even a hint of.
I'd like to have more of this one can.
Not even a hint.
No, none of the
TDN.
gasoline or whatever.
Yeah, the naphthalene.
Yeah.
Dihydrogen naphthalene. I'm not tasting any TDN in this, and it's. But I mean, the thing is, in a can and with the carbonation, it probably doesn't. Break down quite so quickly. And now this is I think it was 22 vintage, wasn't it? Oh, mine's.
Yeah, 2022.
Mine says a 23 on it. 053123. Is yours an earlier vintage? If you look at the bottom of the can, you might.
See. Oh, hold on. No, mine is says 2022 on the label, but on the underneath it says 05/31/23.
Well, maybe that's when it was canned. They might have aged it at some point, you know. It could have been a 22 vintage canned in 23, because they certainly wouldn't have. They certainly wouldn't have harvested it in May. Just saying.
Right. Right.
5 is May, right? Yeah, April, May. Yeah, correct. But well done, well done. And well done, Catherine, for helping us out on that. We appreciate your perseverance and your patience in opening this, because I know you're a big fan of white wines and Chardonnay in particular, but this is right up there with any white wines I've had.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely a Chardonnay fan. I think some of the white wines I do find a bit sweeter, and typically Chardonnay I don't find as sweet. So I was a little bit, like, I wasn't as excited about this one, other than it being from Maker and typically really liking the wines that they produce, or that I guess they don't produce, the wines that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this definitely, I wish I had a 6-pack of this to take back to Christmas, for Christmas.
Speaking of 6-packs and cases, wasn't it Joni Mitchell that said I could drink a case of you? But this definitely could be something that you could enjoy more than one can. But remember, that's the thing. That's the thing with canned wine, and the 250 ml is a nice size, because it's really about a glass and a half. It's not as much of a commitment as the 355, which is half a bottle. You know, I know in taking a canned wine out camping, you don't want to try and drink a 6-pack of this stuff. It's not beer, and at 13%, that's quite high, but it doesn't taste very alcoholic.
Not at all.
Although I am seeing some pretty substantial legs on this. It has some surface tension there.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't sure what glass to put it into, but I just used this tall, generic white wine glass. It seems to be quite good. And I am wishing you a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Are you traveling this year?
It's a little bit of a weather permitting situation this year. I guess, as always at this time of the year. We've had a couple blizzards the last week.
I know.
Last week we had one.
I've been watching
that.
Yeah,
one that kind of blasted across the prairies, and then we had a second one about a day and a half later. So far the weather's looking good. So I'm planning to head to Manitoba. My brother lives in Alberta, so he and his one son, are coming out on Tuesday to stay overnight with me, and then we'll all go back to Manitoba together on Christmas Eve. I should get there in time for going to church with my mom, and then out to my stepdad's granddaughters for stuffing our face the rest of the evening. Stuffing our faces the rest of the evening.
Well, tis the season to do that, and I'm looking forward to getting back to Manitoba maybe in the spring again. Jamie, who you've probably heard on the podcast, has been doing some research in Winnipeg, and said that DeLuca's wine shop on Portage Avenue has quite a good selection of Canadian wine in cans. So I'm hoping to get back there to check that out. And someone from the MLCC, one of the I ended up talking to the branch manager, I think it would be, up by the Shoppers Mall, and she was very helpful. I mean, those people are super helpful at the MLCC. And she said, yeah, we don't stock a lot of cans, but there are some private wine merchants in Winnipeg that do, which one of them was the DeLuca Wines, and then I think there's a Keniston wine store and another one that's used to be 2 names, but now it's just 1 name. She said they do have extensive canned wine inventory, so that's something to look for. I mean, you can only bring so much on a plane, but it's well worth it. Um,
Yeah.
to bring some of these.
Right around the corner from where I used to live. So if I was still in Winnipeg, we'd be having much different. We'd be exchanging wines instead of you just giving me wine.
Yeah, we wouldn't have quite as an extensive like the Underground Railway of wine that we have to go through to get these things out there. But it's a portable format, and that's something we want to say. You know, this is, you can put a 6-pack of these into your, not your carry-on luggage, but your regular luggage, and you know, you put enough socks around something, it travels pretty well. So that's all the secrets are revealed here. Now, our shout out. Many people realized, or many people might have heard last week that we, and you as one of them, I was giving away this fantastic Thanks a Brunch card to the first person that either answered the question of the week or someone that subscribed. So Paul B from Port Protection out on Alaska. Thanks, Paul, for the subscription. And hopefully your snow is melting. I don't think the snow is going to melt quite that quickly in Saskatchewan.
Nope.
But I think you got at least a foot, maybe more, right?
In some places, but you know, it was blowing so much that it was more that there was big drifts.
Okay.
And then sort of bare patches.
So
it's definitely not evenly distributed.
Check in Moosomin, maybe all the Regina snow blew that far. It's quite possible with the winds you guys had.
Yeah.
So a shout out to Paul. Thanks for subscribing, and a big shout out, speaking of Winnipeg, to Kent and his. I guess it's a vlog, a pile of stuff. If you haven't seen Kent's production, he opens a can of wine, talks about it, and then gives you riveting electronics things that he does. He is right in the middle of his December kit building, so he's building all kind of kits on YouTube, and that's that pile of stuff. I'll put the link in my notes there. But Kent did us a favor and fixed a metal detector for me, and I really appreciate it. At least I'll be able to find the property markers when I get it back. So thanks again, Kent. And our head scratcher for this week is, and a big shout out to you too, Catherine, in the Queen City, holding down our Canadian content there and opening a few wines for us. We really appreciate your effort, and also just that you still appear with us after all of the wine we've been through.
Yes, well, thanks, Brad. It's always a pleasure.
And good luck on your trip. Hopefully you can get enough cardboard on your grill that you're not freezing and all the things you have to do in Canada. And
yeah, you still see that around every once in a while.
Well, one of our other contributors, Ken, who you've probably seen many times, his running joke is, and he travels a lot, when he's heading to the west, the wind comes straight out of the west. And when he comes home, it turns around and comes straight out of the east. So he's constantly against the wind. And if you were looking for a place where that would happen, it would definitely be the prairies, because it's windier than heck out there.
Yep, it sure is.
And our head scratcher for this week, we're going to really make you guys scratch your heads and go back. What acronym is prized for aging Rieslings? We discussed this earlier in the podcast, and we didn't smell it or see any indication of it here, but it is a product of the breakdown of carotenoids. I'll give you a hint that way. So in closing, thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Catherine, for joining us tonight in the Can Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. And remember to enjoy responsibly. And just because it comes in a can doesn't mean you could or should drink and drive. Always be responsible when you're enjoying your beverages. The Can Wine Podcast is a Center Stage production. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and until the next episode, It's a center stage production, all rights reserved.